Hello, everyone on Facebook. This is your girl, Brandy Woods, the Millionaire Midwife. I am so happy to be coming to you tonight to talk about the SBA Disaster Relief. Now, I know most of you guys who follow me are entrepreneurs. A lot of you are childcare owners, and I had to bring the information. For those of you who do not know, in the midst of this Miss Rona, COVID-19, however you want to call her, situation, we decided to do a stimulus package for childcare owners. This stimulus package included daily updates, resource libraries, expert speakers, who I have the beautiful Amelia Thomas on the line with us tonight, virtual learning platforms for our students who are at home or still at school with us, everything, all of the good stuff, free groceries for childcare owners and free grants. So as promised, we wanted to deliver this information to you tonight. So do me a favor as we share this out, this broadcast out, will you do me a favor and drop where you're from, your city and your state, rep your city. You know we like to rep our city. If you'll do that for me really quick, let us know where you're from, and we're going to get this party started. So I'm going to introduce Miss Amelia in just a second. But before I do, I just want to do a quick check-in. How are you in your center this week? How are you guys faring out? Has it been harder than you thought? Has it been easier than you thought? What's going on? I definitely want to know. And thank you all for tuning in on tonight. Just wanted to share the video real quick. And I'll be monitoring your questions to make sure that we get all the questions answered on tonight. I got Humble, Texas in the house. I got Brooklyn, New York in the house. Come on, New York. Hey, Christy. Hey, Tawana. Hey, Leslie. Thank you, guys. And if you'll do me a quick favor, press the share button right now, because I know that you know an entrepreneur who needs this information. Whether they're in childcare or not, I need you to go ahead and share this video. Since it's on the business page, you know, it's not going to get that much viewage if you don't share. So sharing is caring. I need everybody really quick to click the share button. You can share it in a group. You can share wherever you want to share it. But I need you to share this button right now. All right. So, Amelia, how are you doing tonight?
I'm well, Brandy. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. When I asked Amelia to do this, like, she gave no hesitation. I want to tell everybody how blessed we are to have you. So I'm going to give you some accolades. And so, you know, I want you to pump yourself up over there. Like, imagine you have your little crunk music in the background. We know it's business, but we also want to have fun, because we have enough serious stuff going on right now. Unfortunately, all of our children are at home. That's a whole pandemic in itself. The other situation is we're trying to keep our businesses afloat. So we definitely have enough things to be serious about. So tonight we're going to have a little fun while we get this information. So Amelia Thomas is a financial planner and tax accountant who specializes in tax planning and advisory service for business owners, using her strategies to help us get to the 1%. Now, for those of you who don't know what the 1%, that is the wealthiest of the wealthiest of the wealthiest. And guys, this is a place that we're underrepresented. So that's why it's so important for this topic tonight. For more about Amelia, her passions in life is assisting families in creating legacy. Sounds like my kind of girl. Building those frameworks to carry your family into wealth for 200 years. So that's multiple generations. That makes me a little happy, you know, to think that my children's children's children will be well off. She has a dedicated money team, okay, Mayweather, that includes attorneys, that's what I'm talking about, CPAs and other qualified professionals to ensure that we have that cohesive strategy to grow your wealth. But tonight she's going to talk to us about this SBA situation. And what makes her qualified is she has a BS in business and finance from Alabama. Oh, Roll Tide. I don't know. She also holds an MS in financial planning from Kansas State. She holds 11 licenses, which provides her the ability to create and manage wealth portfolios, to supervise your money. And now she's going to help us get to the money with this SBA loan situation, but she also has finance deals including stadiums, toll bridges, public offerings. This is major, guys. And lastly, she works to eliminate the illusion of inclusion regarding the use of minority businesses in local government and corporate contracting. So she's going to make us visible where we're often invisible. Talk to us, Amelia. How are you tonight?
Brandy, I need you to always read my bio, no matter where I'm speaking, because that was amazing. Thank you so much. But I'm doing well. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic to be here because what we are going to discuss tonight is applicable to everyone who's on this call. And if you are a business owner, okay, it is applicable to you. Right now, we are experiencing one of the worst crises that we've ever experienced in the history of the country, something that could very well be worse than the Great Depression. So we want to make certain that we're out and we're sharing the knowledge and the wisdom to help business owners understand what they will need to do to weather this storm. This is not something that's going to resolve itself within a few weeks or within a month. So we need to make sure that our businesses stay sustainable during this time and how to do so. So I'm so glad you are allowing me to chat with your platform tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate you. One thing about it is, for the people who follow me, they know that I'm like no coin left behind. And one of the things that made this partnership and this collaboration so perfect is, even though, guys, in all transparency, even though I'm about making my paper, I've always had some reservation in taking the man's money. I'm like, I don't want your money, man. You know, how many pages is the application? And though we had great numbers, great financials, I've always had this fear. So I'm going to ask Amelia a few questions that I know y'all have too, but I'm going to ask them for me so we won't be embarrassed. I'll just embarrass myself. So if you have a question you want me to ask her, I'll be like, my homegirl Keisha say, like, she's not going to even know it's you, so you can ask any question tonight so we can help you get through this process. This is what I want to know. I want to know, why do you think so many African-American businesses are afraid to apply for this type of funding?
Number one, I think it's really just a lack of information that circulates in our community. I don't think we have adequate resources to really help business owners understand exactly where they can go to get credible advice. And oftentimes it's also because quite frankly, we may have been burned. We never received assistance from a small business resource center or the SBA in the past. We've always been denied. So eventually you just stop looking, for those services, and you just go out and grind and you hustle and you just make it happen on your own. So I think those will be probably the two primary reasons. One, just a lack of information or quality information that circulates our community. And then two, because we may have been denied for access to capital or access to resources and grants in the past, we've just decided to take it in our own hands and make it happen, which many of us have done. But this particular loan program is a little bit different.
Well, this is good because I think that you're going to give us the information and confidence. And what I've learned about most business owners, but once they get that confidence, they're more likely, if I know what I need to come into the room with, right, I'm going to come into the room with it, because I have to admit, I have some of the baddest, and by baddest, I mean goodest. I do have degrees too, but by baddest, I mean goodest business owners on the line. And so it's not like they don't want to be prepared, but I hear the same statement over and over. I don't want to be rejected. I just don't know exactly what I need, or they're in their first generation of people creating wealth in their family. And there's just so many questions that they have. I have one more question before we get to your presentation. How much money is available? Like, are you going to tell us what's out there?
Yes. So I'll go into it a little bit further in the presentation, but right now, as it stands, $8 billion. So that is 8 zeros, $8 billion has been allocated towards the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Relief Fund. So that is not any other loan fund in existence. This is literally just for disaster relief.
Wow. So that means that we qualify. Those of us who are childcare owners and we're stayed open, we've opened our doors, we have 80% less kids than we have employees. That means, guys, I think we're actually the perfect candidate for this loan program. So this is what we're going to do. Amelia, go ahead and share your screen, get your presentation ready. Okay. Guys, I'm going to do Amelia a favor. If she gets ready, goes through her presentation, I am going to be the keeper of questions. So once, if she does not answer your question, so you're gonna have to listen, I am going to ask it for you. If she answers your question, I will make sure that you got that answer at the end. But this is the thing, there's $1 billion for you. Who's gonna go and get it? If you committed to go and get your funds, I need you to type me in the chat. Go ahead and type me in the chat, like I'm committed, like run me my check. Like, I'm going to do what it takes. If you're committed to learning more about this process, I need you to type me in the chat. We have to be proactive. I need us to be proactive. I see you, Raven. Raven say, run me my coins.
That's right.
Who else is committed? Who else is committed to making sure? Come on, Nina Sky. That's what I'm talking about. Only 2 people? That means they have $500 million. Oh, okay, Courtney. You want some too? Can somebody put me for Brandy in the chat? Like Nina say, run me my coins right now. I love it. All right, Leslie. Leslie says she is committed. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to let Amelia go through her presentation. I'm going to remove my lovely face off the screen for a while. That way I can take notes and I can be the keeper of questions. All right, Amelia, this show is yours. Guys, stay on. That wasn't Rona. That was just me talking fast. That wasn't Rona, y'all. It wasn't Rona. I want you guys to make sure you have pen and paper. I have my pen and paper. I want you to write your questions, post them in the chat, but please stay on until the very end. Why do you need to stay on to the very end? Because my friends always come bearing gifts, and you can't get your gift unless you stay until the end. So, Amelia, we are your captive audience. You can. The show is yours.
Thank you so much, Brandy, once again. And good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Amelia. I'm so ecstatic to be here. And I want to share with you how you can take advantage of the SBA Economic Injury Disaster Relief Funding. Okay, so right now, as it stands right now, there's actually $8 billion in funding available. Business owners can qualify for up to $2 million in disaster relief or rescue loans through the SBA. And again, this is not through a traditional SBA loan where you have to use an intermediary, such as a financial institution. This is a program that is direct with the SBA itself in the United States Treasury. So I want you to think about how we have disasters year after year after year. Typically, these disasters are centralized. Maybe it was something similar to what we experienced in Tennessee last month, where a tornado came through overnight and just ravaged the city of Nashville. And I know there was some severe flooding in Houston, Texas last year and the year before, and we had some other severe storms and weather. These are considered disasters. And whenever the President of the United States declares a national disaster, that is when this particular loan fund springs into effect, okay? It becomes active. Now, this particular loan fund is now active across the United States. And most people, you know, they just sit on the sidelines and they let things continue to happen to them, and we don't want that to be you. And right now, we are willing to help anyone who's been affected due to the coronavirus apply for this money. If you are a small business owner and you have been impacted directly or indirectly due to the coronavirus, you should be eligible to apply. There are some stipulations. We will cover that in the presentation, but just keep it in your mind that we are encouraging, along with this Small Business Administration, are encouraging all small business owners to apply. Right now, all 50 states are covered. As of past Friday, it was only about 43 states, but as of today, all 50 states are now covered. So the entire United States of America is covered and considered a disaster area. In this particular fund, actually, most notably, people remember it during the BP oil spill. How many of you remember the BP oil spill? While it was centralized and it mostly affected the Gulf Coast all the way over to Texas, it was a giant, massive disaster for the tourism industry in the South, the hotels, conventions, conferences. How about the seafood industry? It was a disaster for sure. However, it is one of the most noticed or recognized SBA disaster relief funds because of the amount of money that the SBA pumped into that particular economy. So when that particular BP oil spill disaster happened, it took years for them to recover, but they recovered because the SBA awarded that area $53.8 billion. $53.8 billion was the amount of money that they ultimately spent to help that area recover, okay? $53.8 billion. And I want you to keep that in mind because right now, this number is just at $8 billion, and we're talking about the entire United States being affected. And that was just along the Gulf Coast over to Texas, and they were awarded almost $54 billion. So I'm going to share some additional statistics with you momentarily that will also continue to blow your mind. So as you can imagine, by the time we get on the other side of the coronavirus pandemic, we're going to far exceed this $8 billion. We're going to far exceed $54 billion. And right now, there is legislation in Congress to increase this number from $8 billion to $300 billion. Let me say that again. Right now, at this very moment, there is legislation in Congress to increase the funding amount from $8 billion to $300 billion. And we're expecting it to actually go higher than the 300. But just like the BP oil spill, we have to make sure when we are assisting clients and when we are assisting business owners with applying for this funding, we need to make sure that their application is as flawless as possible. As you can imagine, there are a lot of businesses that pretty much went out of business overnight. There are a lot of business owners who are applying for this funding. So we want to make sure that when we submit an application to the SBA on behalf of a client, that the application stands a great chance of being approved, not the second time, not the third time, but the first time, the first time. We only want them to come back to us with clarifying questions, not come back to us with a denial, and now your application goes back to the end of the pile while they wait on additional information, or if you're going to apply for an appeal. We want your application to be approved the first time, so we make sure we put in the diligence to make sure your application is flawless. So how did I get started? How did I get to where I am today? Brandy did an excellent job of reading my bio and sharing a little bit more about my background. But I'm a small business tax strategist and wealth manager. My primary job is to make sure that we not only help our clients pay the least amount possible in taxes, and they do, and they reinvest that money back into their businesses, but we also help them manage, grow, and preserve their assets. And this is the reason why I am speaking to you right now, because right now we're speaking of preservation of assets, okay? We want to make sure that this does not derail your plans of leaving that generational wealth that you want to leave to your clients. Again, my passion is to make sure that you leave enough money for the next 200 years. But if your business goes out of business due to the financial implications of this virus, that does not help us. That does not help our economy. It does not help our communities, and it does not help the legacy you want to leave your family. I've been serving small business owners for over 13 years, and I am very adamant that I do not want my clients to experience another 2008, and I don't want them to experience losing their business like 40 or 50% of the businesses did in 2008. And I am very used to working with boutique type investment firms where we offer accounting and tax support for these small business owners, again, to make sure that that strategy is cohesive. Now, how exactly does this work? We're looking for your most recent federal income tax returns, a personal financial statement, a schedule of your liabilities, including all of your fixed debts and assets. And of course, you will fill out your SBA paperwork. You'll also need a year-end profit and loss statement and a balance sheet for tax year 2019. And you're going to need a year-to-date profit and loss statement. Now, depending on where you are in your business, if you're a startup, if you've only been in operation a few weeks, the requirements may be a little bit different. But if you are an established business, if you are an established childcare provider, you should already have these documents in order. And then, of course, we'll need some monthly sale figures to determine the amount of the economic injury, which will also help us determine the amount of money you should be applying for. Right now, I am advising all of my clients that they should look to apply for at least 6 to 9 months of operating expenses, okay? This particular loan is designed as working capital. I don't know how many of you have applied for funding in the past, but typically they tell you you can't use the money for working capital. This loan is designed so you can use it for working capital. They want you to make payroll. They want you to continue to pay your rent or your mortgage on commercial property or leases. They want you to continue your operations as normal, just like you would had this disaster not happen. And that's what this loan is designed for. And that's why, again, it springs into action when a national disaster has been declared. So what does that process look like? Day one, when you decide that you're going to sign up, we will work to get a strategy session scheduled. Within 48 hours, we send you a request list so you can submit all of your documents. We can get those documents reviewed. We'll have a kickoff call, make sure that we have everything that we need to prepare that flawless application for you. In 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have that application submitted. We try to get this application submitted as quickly as possible because, again, there's a lot of business owners who are applying for this money, and we want to make certain that those business owners that are applying for this money, we don't want you to be at the end of the line. We need to get in as quickly as possible. And then, of course, we will have follow-up as needed. And I'll be sure to slow down just a little bit so you can follow along. But if you missed something, please let me know and I will be sure to address it for you, okay? All right, so of course, there are 2 options that we always have. Of course, we can go as cheap as possible and try to help as many people as possible, but that does not help you as a business owner. When we try to help as many people as possible, we really can't present the strongest case for them because we don't have enough time to work on their application. So what we have decided that we're going to offer is a documentation review and assessment. So that means you will submit all of your documentation, all of those profit and loss statements, the balance sheets. If you have to submit projections, the tax returns, you're going to submit that information and we're going to review it. Once we review it, we will give you back a written assessment to let you know how these documents shape up, if there needs to be changes, corrections, if we need to do something differently, if there's something else that we need to strengthen your loan application. We will give that back to you in writing so you can either have those things addressed with your current accountant or we can see if that's something that we can assist you with. We will also do assistance with the completion of all your loan documents. We will help you prepare a personal financial statement as needed for those applications. And then, of course, we will not leave you. We will be with you to the very end, and we will provide assistance with addressing any responses or questions from the SBA. So I want to go back very quickly and discuss what are the items that are needed. Again, we're going to need the most recent federal income tax returns. So if you have not prepared your 2019 tax returns, but your 2018 tax returns are available, we can use the 2018 tax returns. If your 2019 tax returns are not available, but your financials were better in 2019, you may want to have your 2019 tax returns prepared so you can use those returns. We're going to need a personal financial statement. This personal financial statement is an SBA type of financial statement. It is not something that you would submit ordinarily to a bank. There is a certain format and there is certain assets that they look for. You're going to need the schedule of liabilities listing all your fixed debts. So if you have mortgages on childcare centers, or if you have car notes or van notes because of your different vehicles for transporting the children, and you have debt associated with that, you'll list all of those liabilities. You're also going to need your year-end profit and loss statement and a balance sheet for 2019. You're going to need your current year-to-date profit and loss statement. And your current year-to-date profit and loss statement, that's going to be from January 2020 to March 2020, since March has not ended. And then monthly sales figures that basically show how you're going to be impacted. So like a mini projection, how do you anticipate you're going to be impacted due to the economic loss of, your children not coming to the childcare centers, or if you have adult daycare, maybe they're not coming to the adult daycare, whatever type of business, how are you going to be impacted financially? So again, day one, when you decide that you want to engage, we do a strategy session. We send you a request list within 48 hours after that initial call. We then have another kickoff call so we can make sure that we have everything or to review those documents. Again, 2 to 3 weeks later, we submit that application to the SBA, and we're trying to get that application submitted in under 2 weeks, and then follow up as needed if the SBA has additional questions. So again, you're going to receive the documentation, review, and assessment, assistance in completion of all of your loan docs. Again, this is really important because we want to make sure that you're addressing everything that needs to be addressed in the addendum sections as it relates to your application. If things, maybe there's something in particular about how you operate or run your business that you think is imperative that they need to know, we want to make sure that we document and record that. And then, of course, we will provide assistance with addressing any responses that we receive from the SBA promptly. So I think there's a few questions. Brandy, did you want to come back on to address those questions?
Yeah. Okay, you're doing good. If you could see this chat, it's like, I was like, hold on, Nita, hold on, Drea, I got this. I want to ask your questions. Okay, so I think, Nina, we went back and we talked about all 7 things that you need to have prepared. And guys, this is just good business practice, right? So we've kind of been talking about in the group, keeping your documents in order, keeping your receipts. The great thing is if you're on the food service program, you already have your receipts. So doing a profit loss statement is not difficult. And if you can't do it, Amelia's firm can do it, or whoever does your taxes they can do that for you, right? It is basically just taking your revenue minus your expenses, and that is your profit loss. Now, for me, this number has been in the black. And the black means it's been positive. In March, this number is gonna look like a Uzi came through and shot up my spot. It's gonna be in the red. And in the red means that it's gonna be a negative. So it's gonna be a loss. March will be a loss for most childcare owners. So what the government is going to do, from my understanding, Amelia, tell me if I'm wrong, they're going to look at your normal month compared to what's happened dramatically to see if you have been impacted. Is that true?
That is correct. They are looking at your year-to-date sales and your year-to-date profits and expenses, and they are going to, in their underwriting criteria, they're going to make an assessment to determine how much you would be eligible for to continue your operations. And again, there are certain things that we do on the application to strengthen your application and to make sure that we ask for at least 6 to 9 months of operating capital.
The other question was, it was actually a twofold question. It was like, where do we even find the application? Is the application even open?
So the application is definitely open. If you just Google SBA disaster funding, it's probably going to be the first option that comes available. In fact, I believe the website is like sba.disaster.gov. I could be wrong, and we can confirm that. But trust me, if you just Google SBA disaster relief, it'll be like top 3.
Okay, so that was that question. The next question is, if you're not in operation, is this particular loan for you, or should I be looking at another SBA loan?
So allow me to ask a question. When you say you're not in operations, why are you not in operations? Is it a new business?
New business, a new startup. She is actually in Childcare Millionaires. She's working on her business plan and everything, but she has not started business.
Okay, she has not started. Okay, so this particular program would not be for you. Now, if someone was already operating, even at 3 weeks, we could help them with this particular program. But unfortunately, if you have not started, this particular program would not work for you. However, there may be some other SBA type options for you to assist you, depending on what that need may be.
Okay, I got another question. And this is from my girl, Nina. And I love Nina. She's a new childcare owner. And you know, pretty much the first 8 months to 2 years, you're still in the red because you have all these startup expenses. She said, how will I know my chances? Well, she's really asking, will you let her know her chances? Because she's been in the red because she's just starting up, and she's been in operation about a year.
So if you've been in operations for about a year, you still will have that profit and loss statement. You'll still have a balance sheet, even if it is in the red. You still have these documents. You still have employees. You still have operational costs. You still have expenses. You are still a business owner. The SBA does not decline someone just because they are not profitable. Many businesses are not profitable in their formidable years. You know, it takes some businesses 3, 4, 5 years before they reach a profit in their business. So do not think just because you're just getting started and you're in the red that, you know, you would be declined or denied funding. That is not the case. And that's certainly not the case with a fund that is literally in existence to make sure that these smaller businesses do not go out of business due to a disaster. And that's what this funding is for. It is due to a disaster. And therefore, the requirements and the eligibility is a lot less lenient versus some other lending options in the marketplace.
I have another question. I think this applies to some, maybe not all, but some.
I'm ready.
And I got this in my inbox, so they want to be anonymous. She said, my books are a little dirty. They're not all the way put together.
Okay.
So how long will it take for me to get my books pretty enough to present, and will it be too late?
So it definitely won't be too late. The length of time, I don't know. I don't know because we just need to see them, right? It really does depend. Typically, if someone engaged with us to clean up their books, we would try to have it completed within 2 weeks or so. Just depending on how accessible you are as a business owner, because obviously we'll have questions, we'll need clarifications on things, but we try to have that wrapped up in 2 weeks. So by the time it takes us to get your books wrapped up and get your application submitted, it'll probably be a 3 to 4 week time frame. And so at that point, you'll probably be looking at about 8 to 10 weeks before you receive a response.
Okay, and she clarified, she said, I've done my 2018 taxes, but I did no profit loss in 2019. So it's not that bad, but I wouldn't be ready today, is basically what she's saying.
You listen, you don't necessarily have to be ready, but you do need to know what you need to get ready, right? And that's what we're doing. We're going over everything that you're going to need so you can get ready. Whether you decide to clean up the books yourself or you decide to engage with someone to do it, you just need to know what you need to know, because you need these documents to submit. And again, do not think just because you're a new business, you've only been in operation a year, that's going to decrease your opportunity of being funded. That's not the case at all.
Awesome. So of course, everybody's saying, well, she keeps saying she can help us. How can she help us? So first, before, so another new business kind of said the same thing. So this is not the loan. Is there a loan for new businesses?
So it depends on what you are using the money for. So there are different SBA type loans that will allow you to purchase property, purchase equipment. It just really depends. And obviously those are going to be more heavily weighted against your personal credit and your personal income. There may be some other bridge type loans that you may be eligible for, and depending on your city and state, your city and local county may have some additional funding that you may be eligible for. So it really does depend on how you plan to use those loan proceeds. Most loans will not be applicable if you plan to use the proceeds as working capital, meaning to make payroll and to pay, general operational expenses.
Yes. And that's something that I didn't realize, guys, when I was first applying for loans. You never want to say you're using it to pay your rent or you pay your lease or to buy some regular supplies. It always needs to be expansion forward, or if I get this loan, I can do this to generate this much more funds in my business. Literally, you almost need to always think about borrowing money, except in this case, this is one of the times where you can borrow money because you need it. But most of the time you want to borrow money when you don't need it, and it's a project that you need help funding, even if you really need it.
And how I like to position it too, Brandy, is think of it as you've already figured out your product market fit, right? Like you already know who your customer is, you already know how to reach them, you're already doing business with this type of customer, and now you're looking to scale, you're looking to expand. Now you want to open another childcare center. Now you want to franchise your business model. Those type of activities is what will get you funding from the bank.
Awesome. I have a really good question. I didn't even think about this. LJ said, are there any disqualifiers? Like, if I had this happen to me, don't even waste my time.
So yes, we're going to talk about that in just a second.
Okay. So I think I need to let her start back talking. Oh, Lord. Okay, this is my last question, guys. And Deanna has asked a few questions, so I need to answer a few of hers. Deanna says, if approved for SBA loan, but for some reason your doors end up closing, like this gets bad, or you just end up having to close, or for whatever unforeseen reason, what would be the stipulation, or what would be what would happen?
Okay. So I'm also going to address this in just a moment, but just really high level. It still is a loan. It still is, you are signing your John Hancock on the dotted line that you're going to pay this money back. And it's money direct from the United States Treasury. So that means if you don't pay this money back, they will confiscate your tax refund. They will garnish your wages. They will put liens and put blocks on your checking and savings accounts. So if by chance that happens, just don't ignore them. Just call them.
Can I translate for you, Amelia?
I'm sorry.
If you get the people money, I'm gonna translate. If you get the people money and you try to ghost, they gonna find you. Okay, I think I translated. Okay. Last question before you go on. Okay. What is the minimum credit score? Do you go over that in the next few slides?
Yes, I do. Okay,
so y'all, we're gonna have to stop asking questions and being rude. Y'all got it. So Amelia, I'm now returning the floor to you. I think they've gotten most of their questions out.
Okay. All right. I'll let you know when I'm done, and then we can answer the rest of their questions. All right, guys. So you absolutely, can do the application on your own. But for those who do not want to do the application on their own, and they want to make sure they submit a very flawless application, we are offering this to Brandy's audience. Brandy is a good business mentor and friend of mine. We're offering this to her audience for half the cost at $1,125, and it does require a non-refundable $100 deposit. And that's when you and I get on a call and we hash out what you have going on financially for your business and your industry and what you're looking to do, so we know how to proceed with the application. And you'll also know exactly what you need to know before you apply. So again, it's $1,125 with a non-refundable deposit of $100 if you decide to engage with us. Even if you just decide to engage with us for questions, it will be just the $100. Now, what kind of loan is this? So we're now going to get into the nitty-gritty of several of those questions. So you're eligible to apply for up to $2 million. These loans are for working capital. So you can pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, any other bills that you would have normally been able to pay had this disaster not happened, okay? If you would have been able to cover this expense prior to this disaster, you can use these proceeds for that. The terms are up to 30 years. 7 and 15-year terms are the most common. These are monthly payments, so not quarterly or annual payments. We are expecting that off the back, they are going to defer the first 4 to 6 months of payment. They want you to utilize this money to ramp up your operations as quickly as possible, or to maintain and stay stable, okay? So you will not have to make payments immediately. We're looking at 4 to 6 months. In some cases, it may even be up to 15 months, depending on how compelling of an argument we make on your application. The interest rate is 3.75% for small businesses. And even if, you can still maintain, maybe you have not been, maybe your business has not been devastated, 3.75% is almost free money. It is almost free money. So if you're working with an accountant, some type of financial professional, they may be able to help you figure out, how you can be even more successful, even if you don't need this money. But an interest rate such as 3.75%, again, is almost free. And if you have a nonprofit that is not charitable based, it will be 2.75%. So again, once we file the paperwork on your behalf, it typically would take about 2 to 3 weeks for loan determination, but because so many business owners are applying, obviously the longer we wait, the longer it does take to receive a determination. The first check up to $25,000 will be made available in 5 days. If it's more than $25,000, they give you a different process, and it may require some collateral, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. This is available for nonprofits, small businesses, and agricultural cooperatives. And when I say small business, guys, just so you can have it in your mind, the SBA definition of a small business is really different than what we consider a small business. In fact, I think I have it here. I do. So the SBA considers a small business any business that generates less than $38.5 million. And that has fewer than 15 to 1,500 employees, depending on the industry. So you have a lot of businesses who are going to be applying for this funding. And this is another reason why you want to submit a flawless application. And you want to get it in as soon as possible, because as you can imagine, that's a lot of businesses that are eligible to apply for this money. The SBA prefers applicants with a good credit history, a good score. Traditionally, that score was 640. However, I was on a conference call with the SBA over the weekend. They are encouraging everyone to apply, even if their credit score is not a 640. And it is our job when we're submitting that application to justify what may have happened in your life that prevented your, that decreased your credit score. If you file for bankruptcy, that does not disqualify you. Having a bankruptcy will not disqualify you. If you have taxes outstanding, that will not disqualify you as long as you have made arrangements with the IRS regarding those taxes. If you have student loans that are in deferment or forbearance, that does not disqualify you as well. However, if you have student loans and you've been dodging them and they've been outstanding or delinquent for years and years and years, again, it's not necessarily an automatically decline, but we do need to justify what has happened that prevented you from making arrangements with those student loans. And another reason why they're being a lot more lenient is because in the history of this particular fund, it has never impacted the entire United States. And small business owners create about 70% of the jobs. Allow me to re-emphasize that. Small business owners create about 70% of the jobs in the marketplace. If we plan to recover from this pandemic, jobs have to be available. So they are being much more lenient than what they would traditionally have had this been a disaster that was centralized because of a storm or because of a flood. But because this is a health pandemic that is impacting the entire United States, they know they have to go above and beyond to get as much money back into the marketplace as possible so the businesses do not shut their doors. And then finally, you have to be able to prove the ability to repay, and that is typically 1.25% of your debt service. So basically, you need to be whatever your loan payment is, you should be having enough revenues for that amount plus an additional 25% as your debt service. So of course, you have to be able to show the ability to repay the loan. So what happens if you don't get approved? That is very much a possibility. It is possible that someone may not get approved. And of course, we will submit an appeal on your behalf and try to get it pushed through. But if not, I would not look at it as though it's a bad thing, because again, a lot of the paperwork that you had to submit is paperwork that you just need for your business anyhow, and it may help you get some local funding. More and more cities and counties are establishing funds for local businesses that may be denied of the funding, so it may even help you get local funding. So don't look at it as a negative. Also, with the amount of projected business losses, honestly, even the amount that we charge is really a drop in the bucket. But getting approved for that loan, whether it's $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, that can really make a world of difference. And again, that's why we focus on submitting a flawless application for our clients. And again, the downside is very little compared to the upside that you'll have if we can get you, through this short-term storm. So again, it does require a non-refundable deposit of $100. We sit down and we have a conversation. We discuss your business, your needs, what you're concerned about, and that would be applied towards your loan application. And again, just for Brandy's audience, we're offering it for half off the regular price of $1,125. Brandy, what other questions do we have?
Okay, one of the main questions that we had was the credit score. Is it my credit score or the business? In the chat, I put it was their credit score because they still have to guarantee the loan. Is that correct?
It is your personal credit score, right? Because you have to guarantee the loan.
Let me see. Julia said, I pray that everyone will be applying. Yeah, and even in your projections, like I pay just for what you call that bookkeeping services. I pay over that a year, so the price is like phenomenal. Or you can do it yourself. Listen, I'm gonna say this: when you pay people, and I'm good at paying people because this is what I understand. If I pay people and they're working in their zone of genius, the likelihood of me moving faster and further increases. Okay. So if you're in operation, I feel like even if this is your last piece of change, like my mama say, I need to hold some change. I feel like even if this your last piece of change, this is what you need to be doing to secure funds. Now, I want to put this in perspective. $1,100 is probably the cost of 6 children in your daycare center. 6 children. Can you not set aside the weekly fee for 6 children to secure up to $2 million for your business? Now, that's just a question you have to answer. I can already tell you what I'm going to do. Y'all already know what I'm going to do. Or there's another way you can do it. You can do a consultation and ask as many questions, try to do it on your own. But just know that there's some risk involved in that. And if you do it on your own, there are people like SCORE or free agencies that may be able to help you. I don't know how well they are staffed right now. But I know in order for me to keep the doors open of my 2 centers and to keep my 25 workers, my 10 vans on the road, I need funding. And that's why, Amelia, you were one of the first people that I asked, and this investment, it's an investment, it's a fee, they're a firm, I can write it off. I mean, so for me, it's just a business expense. It's no worse than having to buy mulch for my playground 17 times a year. Amen, childcare owners. Amelia, I'm gonna look at the questions. So,
Brandy, add something?
Yes.
So again, you absolutely can do it on your own if you wanted to. All of the directions are at the SBA.disaster.gov website, if that's the website. But again, if you Google it, it's like top 3. But again, what you're really paying for is you're paying for expediency, you're paying for expert advice, and you're paying for the ability for someone to submit a loan application for you, knowing what needs to be said to get you approved. And obviously we're not doing anything illegal or immoral, but there is certain facts that you need to let the SBA know about regarding the shape of your business, so we can get you as much money as possible.
Okay, that was a very good answer. One other person said, what kind of credit score? And I figured it was like a FICO, Tri-Merge.
Yeah, you can go to TransUnion, Equifax, Transperian. You can pull up your credit report and score, and you can just take a look. I think, like, if you went to them individually, it's like $30 per bureau. But if you did like all in 3 in 1 or something, it's maybe $40 or $50, and then they give you your credit reports and scores. But definitely take a look.
And can I give them a hack real quick? If you have a credit card, especially if you have a Discover, Bank of America, they give FICO scores. Some people like Capital One, they give Vonage scores, and that's not what people loan money based on. But if you have a Discover, Bank of America, Navy Federal Credit Union, y'all can see I got some credit. All of these people give you a credit score monthly. And then if your credit score is below par, I'm gonna just plug my girl Charlotte Reed. She's in the chat. Charlotte can tell you what you can do to clean up your credit score. If you need to do that real quick before you apply, because these funds will be available for some time. So maybe it takes you 2 months to apply. It don't mean you shouldn't apply, or you shouldn't get your house in order regardless, Okay, someone asked, can we please explain the fee again? They said they missed that. So can I explain it and you tell me if I have it right?
Sure.
Okay, so basically, the fee is for Amelia's firm to basically take all of those 7 components that she mentioned, your financials, your tax returns, all of that good financial information, and put it into the loan application to make you look the best to the government. So she's going to explain what you're going to use the funds for. She's going to explain back your ability to pay back. What is your sustainability? And then if there's anything negative, she's going to be able to explain that in ways she can turn it into a positive. So if you were in the red in March, why were you in the red? There was a reduction, but she's going to use the terms that accounting people use that we may not know. Okay, and it's half off because she's my friend. Now, Amelia, you explain it in your non-sister girl way, because I go sister girl sometimes.
So Brandy is exactly correct. Again, very high level. First piece is documentation and review. So when you submit those documents, okay, we review those documents. We don't just submit documents to the IRS or the SBA or anyone for that matter before we review them. And we review those documents to make sure there aren't holes, there isn't anything inconsistent, that everything balances, okay? Because that's the first way to get your application kicked back, is to submit some balance sheets and profit and loss statements that do not balance, okay? So we make sure all this stuff balanced. We make sure there aren't any holes, anything inconsistent. And if so, we let you know so you can fix it. Again, because we want to submit a flawless application the first time. So once we have the repaired documents, we complete the loan application for you. We help you complete your personal financial statement so you can make sure that you're listing all your assets. Because again, up to $25,000 does not require collateral. Anything above $25,000 would require some type of collateral. And if you don't have collateral, it doesn't mean you're going to be declined. They're just going to look for other ways that you can pledge something. You know, so that may be a van, that may be some equity in a home, even if they're the third or fourth position lien holder. You know, they're not going to decline you for no collateral. And then obviously we respond on your behalf to the SBA when they have questions about your application.
Awesome. So just having that expert doing the process for you, standing in the gap, explaining to you what's going on. I don't know how many of you ever got a contract or an email saying that they needed something, and it just felt like you were opening up like a foreign language, because people who talk numbers is really a total different language, and sometimes we can shoot ourselves in the foot by over talking, saying the wrong thing. So you will have someone to represent you every single step of the way. A new question. They say, what if I apply for an amount, I don't get approved for that amount? Will they give me a lesser amount that I'm approved for?
So what happens is on the application, they don't even list, there's not even a box in the application that says how much you're applying for. We just complete the application in such a way that lets them know what you're applying for, okay? And now they could approve you for less, but they also could approve you for more, and they may not give you more right away. They may put a note on your account that says, hey, in 3-4 months, if you need this money, you can come back and we'll release it because you'll already be approved for it. So there's always a chance that they'll, well, number one, they're going to approve you for whatever they approve you for, but we position it in such a way to get you at least 6 to 9 months in expenses. That's what we ask for. But two, they may even approve you for more based on your financials and your information. And then they'll just put a little addendum on your account. That way, if you need that money, it's already available. You don't have to go through the ropes of reapplying.
Hey, I think that's all the questions that we have. I mean, you guys rocked it out. Y'all are still on, still chatting to each other. Big shout out to Rashawn. Hey, Charlotte and Nina have been some of our most active, and Courtney have been some of our most active tonight. So I thank you very much. I appreciate you so much. Val, I hope you got your question answered about the credit score. I'm just going to ask if you're still on right now. Send Amelia some love in the chat, not just hearts. Type her a statement, letting her know how much you loved it. If you have any questions, because she did not, and trust me, she is real busy right now. She did not have to take time out of her schedule to come and talk to us for the free. I told her the mission and the vision and how I wanted to help, and she was the first one in my circle who responded, look, I got the good. That's not what she said. She was like, I would love to help your organization learn how to get an SBA loan. But what I heard in my mind was, I got the good. Okay. Yes, Raven says we don't always receive this type of information. Much appreciated.
You're very welcome.
Is this for a person with a daycare? Yes, if you have a daycare, Senator Penny, this will be great for you, but it's really for anyone in business who's been in business at least 3 weeks and can prove that they were impacted by the COVID-19 situation, better known as Miss Rona in my world. Nina says she will be in touch. We're going to give you the information of how to reach out to her right now. Rashawn said this was wonderful information. Thank you. Jessica says, thank you for your time. How can we get a hold to Amelia? I'm about to tell you guys. And if you're in the childcare group, I expect for you to make sure that you take her up on her offer, at least for a consultation. But even if you're not ready, listen to this replay so you'll know how to get ready. And if you have any questions, you know you can ask me. Okay, everybody's saying, what's her information? What's her information? So basically they're telling me, Brandy, shut up so she can tell us how to talk to her. Okay, I'm shutting up.
Fantastic. So I think Brandy is going to drop the link in the chat. But if you have like a quick question, feel free to email me. My email address is Amelia, Amelia, at Amelia, Amelia, Thomas.co. Amelia, Amelia, at ameliathomas.co. And I think Brandy is dropping a link in the chat for you to book a consultation and get those questions answered or talk more about your specific needs. And again, it's not, I mean, obviously we're talking to our future childcare millionaires here, but if you have a business, if your spouse has a business, you know, aunt, uncle, cousin, whoever, if they have a business and they're legitimate, you know, they're not, you know, completely under the table, you should encourage them to apply.
And is this link for the 15-minute or is this for the
It's a 30-minute, it's a 30-minute consultation.
Okay, is there a cost for this consultation?
That's the non-refundable deposit of $100. Yeah.
Okay, so here is the link, and then I'll also give you her email. Now, this is the thing, guys. I'm just gonna give like a professional courtesy disclaimer. Like, if you have some questions, email her your questions like all at the same time. Because if it's a back and forth, a million email, like it's her 19,000 response, then I feel like you should pay her the $100 consultation. If it's a few general questions and you need to ask her some questions to decide if she's the right person for you, of course, I encourage you to email, but sometimes we can step out of our boundaries of the free. And so I'm going to set a boundaries for Amelia because she's my friend. And I know how y'all childcare people act. Y'all can ask a lot of questions, but what I am going to do is I am going to post the thread in the childcare group for you to ask questions. This is only for childcare millionaires, people that are in the childcare millionaire group, and I will be answering all of your questions, and those I cannot answer. I know, isn't $100 a great price? I'm on mine, Miss Carter. I'm on mine. Allison said, thank you. Everybody saying this is a great price. So I'm gonna be going through the same process. I'm gonna be vulnerable enough to send her my old nasty paperwork with red lipstick on it. No, I'm gonna actually send you emails with copies, you know. But I'm gonna be going through the same process as you. I'm gonna be vulnerable, and you know, I'm gonna ask. I mean, $60,000 would be my 9 to 10 months. So I'm thinking maybe 400,000. I calculated the payment would be like 3,000 a month at 3.7. I ran my numbers. Now I need old Uncle Sam.
I know how you are, Brandy.
I need old Uncle Sam to act right because we really need this. I know that we need this to survive. So again, I put her offer. I'm going to drop her email in the chat. Any closing words, Miss Amelia?
No, I just want you guys to apply. The money is there. This is probably one of the few times where you don't have to be overly concerned about all of your personal business and, you know, personal scores and credit reports. Obviously, they're going to look at those things, but it's not like a traditional loan. It's not like you go into a financial institution. You know, this loan is in place to help business owners survive this disaster. And therefore, because of the scope and scale of this pandemic, they are going to be a lot more lenient in terms of their approval. So do not count yourself out. This is not something you need to count yourself out on. You know, at least have a conversation with someone, whether it's me, someone at the SBDC, whoever. Have that conversation before you count yourself out.
And I'm going to tell you guys, we all need to put ourselves in the position to get approved, even if it's not this time. So I'm giving you an assignment is to take those 7 things and to commit to always having it ready. Don't wait to the end of the year to get your profit loss done, do your taxes on time. If you have to get a bookkeeper or accountant, really the things that they're asking for are things we should already have. So this is a good challenge to us, to put ourselves in the positions, out riding dirty, clean up our house, clean up our situation. So when opportunities present themselves, we're ready for the opportunity. So I'm going to close out by saying thank you, Amelia. If I could ever do something for you, I hope that you won't hesitate to call me. My number is, y'all thought I was going to give my number. I ain't doing that. Anyway, but Amelia, you know my number. You're welcome to call me. For everybody else out there, inbox me. If you're in the childcare group, you know how to get in touch with me. More than anything, take care of your business so it can take care of you. It's your girl, B Woods, Brandy Woods, the Millionaire Midwife, coming to do what I always do, help you get your millions while I get mine. If you enjoyed this, I need you to share it. I need you to share it, 1, to your page, 2, to a group of people who need this information. It may be in your own group. But go back and watch this information. It was too much to digest at one time, but we wanted to over deliver with our first expert trainer. Thank you, Amelia Thomas. We wish your business blessings and success.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And thanks again, Brandy.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Y'all got homework to do. No sleep.